All right, peace, peace, peace. This is Beyond Breaking Barriers. I'm your host, Piper Carter, and I hope you're here for a conversation about women in hip hop because that's why I'm here. We're live every Monday at 8 p.m. right here on Black Power Media. Again, my name is Piper Carter. I'm your host. The name of the show is Beyond Breaking Barriers, where we discuss women in hip hop. I'm going to give a couple of seconds for folks to come in. The show runner for today is She Ugly, Black Girls, Women in Hip Hop, and Activism, a hip hop feminist literacies perspective. And again, I'm going to be referring to an article, and that is the title that the author has given to the article. And as folks are coming in, I do want to let folks know, if you didn't know already, um, earlier today, the Guerrilla Intellectuals Union, which is Kalanji Jamachanga and Dr. Joy James, they gave an update on the medical condition of Mumia. So please, with input from Mama Africa. So please go there to get the details. But the short story is that it's at a level of urgency. And so we all need to be on alert. Um, but if you need to leave here and go check that out, please do so because that's a very urgent matter, um, and it's really important for us to stay on that issue. Um, as it's difficult for any issue. You know what I mean? But this is one that is very near and dear. As folks come in, uh, just before we get started on the showrunner topic, wanted to didn't care. And I never cared about football, to be honest. Although I was a cheerleader in high school. I was actually co-captain of the cheer team in high school. I know, yeah, that's funny. And I never even knew like what was going on most of the time. I would like if I want to know what's going on, like basketball, I knew, right? Most of the other sports I knew. But if I want to know what's going on with football, I would like go to the guys that were on the bench, and then I'd be like, "Why does it?" And they'd be like this or that, and then I would know what cheers to do. You know what I mean? But I couldn't understand football looking at the game. Also, I didn't care. That the biggest thing was I just didn't care. And so any hootie rooty tootie. That's my like, history of football experience. But I didn't watch the game, which is a tradition. I never watch it, and I've never cared. My dad and my aunts, my grandmother and grandfather on that side, they all always loved football. So anytime I was over there, um, it didn't matter if Super Bowl or not. If it was football season, that was what was on the TV. Mm-hmm. But any hootie rooty tootie. So I couldn't tell you anything about what was happening except someone said that it was San Francisco, and I had a friend that went to Howard with me. He recently passed away, so rest in peace to James Spears. We He was on the football team uh in high school, at my high school, Northwestern High School, and he and I went to Howard together, attended Howard University together, and he was on the football team at Howard, and um his was it our junior year? He got I don't know if it's like drafted. I might have the wrong language, but he was chosen, let's just say that, to play for the 49ers. And unfortunately, um some people threw a party for him. He was given some sort of drug and then was never the same. And unfortunately, he was, permanently scarred mentally, and would have hallucinations, and people were afraid of him. He's a really huge, he's a lineman or linebacker. So he was really huge, dark skin, black guy that was like the sweetest guy ever. But I guess because of his size, everyone thought he was so menacing. I mean, lineman, all that aggression was on the football field. But I had a roommate in college, and he ended up dating my roommate, and so he would, spend a lot of time over. But then after um that happened, like, a lot of our peers were, they became afraid of him because he was so big, and they didn't want him around. I used to have him over over my room, my college apartment, all the time, and we would hang out and talk. And I remember he used to cry and be like, "Look what they did to me, like, look what they did to me," and it broke my heart. You know what I mean? So whenever I um like, hear the 49ers, I think about that, because that was the team that the party was celebrating for him to go play for. So that's what I think about 49ers. And then, as far as, like, last night's uh showcase, my husband was like, "Pipe, you should watch the halftime show, because you have a podcast, and people on your podcast are going to want you to talk about it." Mm. I mean, I don't have anything really different than the stuff we saw on social media. I wasn't really on social media that much today. I did a couple postings, I did a couple lookings. Mostly, I was just burnt out. Like, Friday, whatever day, I learned that a community mother passed away. So rest in peace to Mama Malika and Saroma. She was friends with my parents. They were all part of the Black Arts movement, and she would always, like, call me all the time, and I would call her all the time. And then she was part of the community. So she'd always be, like, at events, and she dressed in beautiful, like, cultural garb all the time. And her energy was just so loving and so flowery. That's the best way I can put it. And imagine, like, I'm gonna call it like a black liberation, like angel fairy. You know what I mean? That would, like, be at the events and just say the most positive, reassuring things to you. Um, but she had had a successful radio show in the 70s, where she talked about Black history and Black liberation. And she was subscribed to my podcast. And after my shows, she would call me and give me, input, critique, very loving, and talk to me about how to, uh, produce things better, because she was a producer, and how I could, strengthen, what I'm doing. So I appreciate her for that. She would come to various events, and she'd been part of the community forever. She was friends with my Baba Ibn, who passed away, rest in peace. And my mom, she was friends with my mom, my dad. So she will always tell me, you know you're special. You were born to do great things. You come from wonderful people who loved you. Do you know your mother loved you into existence? Do you know your mother prayed for you to be here and to be present with all of us? She loved you just that much. And you're special. Do you know that? And that's how she would talk, and she would tell me stories about because my dad was in acting. He was Hollywood actor, rest in peace. And my mom was a dancer. She danced in a Dunham company with Clifford Fears, who was rest in peace, who was a dance choreographer who had come from the Dunham company and had danced with Alien, all these things, and was a great choreographer. But my mother was in his company in the 60s and 70s. And so um, it was a whole thing. Black arts movement is a part of Black liberation movement, and that's the strain that my lineage comes from. But much love to you, Mama Malika. You will be missed. You are missed, but for me, very present always. Just want to give honor and gratitude to you. Um, during I used to I like to cook, and so I would make food, and I'm always experimenting. And she would eat food, some of that I would experiment. I would call her, be like, "I made this or made that. I'll make some stew." I'd be like, "Which can't you have?" And she'd tell me, what she can and can't have, and I would always make this stew. I put like ginger in it and turmeric in it. I'd put all these different things, onion, garlic, and everything. And whatever the stew is, I'd always put those things, heavy, heavy. And then maybe like, you know, something to like give it a little sweetness, you know what I mean? And she she would I would take her the stew, like uh sometimes I make like this, it's like a sweet potato. It's more like a stew because it has, like, chopped vegetables and stuff in it, but, beets and, all the things for your blood and your brain and you know, your liver, like, all that, carrots and all that. She would, eat it and, I'd be, like, heavy on that, ginger and garlic and stuff, and she'd be like, "Ooh, this is so good. You're trying to heal me." And I'd be like, "Yes, I am." She'd be like, "Oh, I love it. It tastes so good and it tastes healthy and delicious and it tastes like it's healing me." And I was, I was trying to, my best to give her some healing food. So um you know, after pandemic, she had the oxygen and stuff, so I couldn't actually like go in the house, but I would like take it over and stand on the porch, and then we would kick it for like an hour or so, you know. But yeah, rest in peace, Mama Malika. Love you. Appreciate all you did for community, what we saw, what we didn't see, you know. But that happened Friday. So I was kind of in that, over the weekend. And then Saturday, I'm on all these various committees and things. I'm on the steering committee for the Michigan Environmental Justice Grassroots Sub Caucus. Everybody has a name. But we had our retreat to set our agenda, and so that we were in session like from like 8 in the morning until like 5 p.m. And then my mother's little sister, which is interesting, turned 75 on the 8th. And so my little cousin, who's like 42, threw her a surprise 75th birthday party. And it was so cool. She got this ice sculpture that said like 75 on it and all this like fruit stuff. And it was like a mountain of fruit. It was beautiful. And this beautiful, like tiered cake um that had a 75 on it. And my artist, Aisha Ellis, the drummer, she performed. And I was the DJ. They loved my DJing. I was so happy. I know my aunt very well. She loved the music. And my uncle, uh, uh, you know, played My Girl. He had me play My Girl, and they did like a dance to My Girl, by the Temptations, because like that was their song. It was so cool. It was so beautiful. My auntie posted a lot of pictures on Facebook, so I'll repost a lot of pictures on Facebook. But my cousin's husband's cousin did the cake, the decorations, the ice sculpture, like organized all that. So it was totally family affair, and everybody enjoyed themselves. And my auntie Nasha came from Jersey. So that was dope. Yeah. But and that was a long day. So I went straight from being in session to the party, and had to set up. I brought, like, so my husband bought us a sound system for when we do events, and so I brought the sound system for the party. So I ended up doing the whole dance session, brought the sound system, set it up, got the band ready, and sound checked them, DJ'd the party, then had to break down the sound system, came home, and let me tell you, I was exhausted. I went to sleep. So uh Sunday, I slept all day. I didn't do anything. I slept all day. And today I had a meeting, like, online from like noon to 2, did that, and then another meeting. So well, slept all day except for when my husband was like, "Yo, come watch the halftime." That's what I told you all that about. So long story short, I was not online really checking for any of y'all's jokes and memes about that. I did see one or two. I'm not gonna lie. Now, to give my input, I gave you all that. My input. It's not that much. I did notice that Alicia Keys hit a very interesting note to start. It wasn't the note that belonged in that moment. It was somewhere else. But she recovered very quickly. And it's interesting because I know y'all are gonna get on me for this. I do not like Alicia Keys' music. I like her, the whole like minimal makeup, quasi natural hair thing. And she has a great personality, and she's all about her husband and her kids and all that. It's a very interesting marketing that they do for her. I like it, it's she's not all the drama and stuff, far as I know. Well, let me say this about that, because she did have the drama about stealing Swiss from Mashanta. So that's interesting. But since then, uh, I don't know. They put the wholesome thing on her. So I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. It's cool to like have somebody that doesn't have that much drama. That is traumatic though, isn't it? So I don't know. I'm a hypocrite. Don't listen to me. Mm. Then, but she looked great. I thought that piano was dope. I'm not gonna lie. Now the flowy thing with the piano, with the whole thing, that was dope. She looked like Black Barbie. Well, she didn't look like Black Barbie. She looked like the bar because I had Black Barbie. Black Barbie was brown with a fro. She looked like the Barbie that they made after Black Barbie, the one for the 80s, but they called her Barbie, but she was supposed to be black. She was light skinned with long hair. She looked like that Barbie. You know what I'm saying? I guess that's not really positive either, is it? I guess not. But okay, forget the Barbie thing. But I thought I liked her outfit. The outfit looked cool. I thought, I don't know, she kind of like the Red Devil. I don't know if that's good or not. I don't know, y'all. I'm not doing a good job here to say. I like the piano and the flowy thing. That was all that was dope. Um, and I guess everyone was having a fit. I'm not gonna lie. I was thinking Usher was getting his free feels. I know everyone was like, "Oh, Swiss is confident." I wasn't really centering Swiss's thoughts around the wife thing, because I don't believe in like ownership. I was more like, I'm hoping that what we saw, I don't know if I hope. I do hope that what we saw was Alicia Keys consenting. I hope that she had consented previously before all of this and was part of the planning, and that this was her idea. I hope that all that touching was like her idea. I hope that she didn't like, what is it called, acquiesce to something, right? Like, I hope that that touching was her concept and her being like, you know, what would be a great idea? My best hopes and dreams is that that's what we saw. I have a feeling, though, that if it was consensual, it was possibly an acquiescing. I'm making this up. I wasn't in the meetings. Um, yeah. So that's all I got on that. If that's not what we saw, Usher's disgusting. And not for the whole Swiss Beats uh jealous, whatever. I don't care. I'm not centering Swiss. If he was just getting the free feels, I'm saying he was disgusting, right? But I can't confirm or deny. Um, Maybe we'll know sooner than later. Um, what else? Uh, I thought Jermaine Dupri was CeeLo. I did. I thought he was CeeLo, and he had on the socks that my grandma used to make me wear to church. That I hated wearing, with those, remember the patent leather shoe with the strap? I forgot what it's called. They have some people call them baby doll shoes, but they had another name and I'm not remembering it right now. But he had those socks on and I was like, huh. And the little thing, he looked like little Lord Fauntleroy. But I thought he was CeeLo. It's interesting. Um and but I couldn't hear him. Could y'all hear him? I couldn't really hear him. The crowd was over him. Maybe his mic wasn't up loud enough. Not a fan of Little John at all. However, the angle at which they caught him and he was like in the crowd and the crowd was all hype. That was actually a hype moment. Um and on a community level, I'm like, that's how hype our community needs to be when we have stuff with our conscious rappers and stuff, right? That's the way our stuff needs to be. Like, people that hype about liberation and freedom, you know what I'm saying? And feminism, you know what I'm saying? And like getting free and black food sovereignty, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Um, and it seemed like there was a lot of joy in that moment, you know. I think Atlanta as a whole was probably shining in a way. And there probably were a lot of Atlanta things happening there that my Detroit self probably didn't get, like cultural cues. And so one part of me is making a big guess that Atlanta was feeling real good in that moment. So I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. And then Usher. Let's get to Usher. So Usher, you know, I'll be honest. I know y'all don't be mad at me. Y'all don't take my black card. I'm not an Usher. I don't care about Usher. I'm not an Usher fan. I'm not anti-Usher. I'm just, Usher's meh. Usher's meh to me. All his music is meh. Um, Meh meaning like I've never ever in the history of my 52 years on the planet accidentally hummed or even thought in my brain an Usher song. I can't even call one up. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Usher was always meh for me. And so it was like meh, but like meh with money, like meh with with a production budget. You know what I mean? So there's that. And then uh what else? Uh the skating. I'll give it up. The skating was dope. The skating was dope. I've spent a lot of time talking about this though. Let me hit the chat because I haven't been looking at the chat at all. And I apologize about that because we're all about the chat. So I want to say peace. So peace to everyone in the chat. So peace to Pamela Jones. Let's put this up. This is important. So it does sound, yeah, free Mumia, right? Yes. I'm gonna leave that up for a second. So I want to say peace to CBC Voter, peace to Jamon, Rouse Pasta Sauce, Leah Boggs, Peace, Zenzabel, and thank you. So I didn't see any of it. The game was on. A lot of us thought Jermaine Dupri was CeeLo. I was like, is that CeeLo? Oh. Two F's, peace. What did you say? What did Leah say? Leah said, I saw a pic of Jermaine Dupri. He had on Easter socks and shoes, sadly, the same time as the game. Palestinians in Rafah were getting bombed. Precisely. This is what I'm talking about. Right. Leah says they would have done that regardless whether the show was or not. Exactly. Leah Boggs said fancy meh. Right, you're a skater. Oh my God, Zenzabel. We need a Black Power Media skate event. Who do we tell? Kalanji, or do we tell Kamal? I don't know. Is that a community movement builders thing? I don't know. Well, okay, so on to the showrunner. I don't want to waste y'all's time. Now y'all know I'll be reading all these articles and stuff. So this article I got from the Community Literacy Journal. So let me go on here. So the title is She Ugly, Black Girls, Women in Hip Hop Activism, and Hip Hop Feminist Literacies Perspectives. So long story short, I am not going to talk about the film that I used the picture for this. So I hope I didn't accidentally do clickbait. I didn't mean to, but I was, you know what happened? This is what happened. I wanted to save the show because I always try to make a show ahead of time so that y'all know the show's coming and what the show is going to be about in case you want to listen or don't want to listen, right? So I saw the title and I wanted to keep the title because that's the name of the article, but then I was like, I don't want to put any, because I don't want someone who mistakenly sees the title to like look at the person that's like in the picture and think that I'm calling that person ugly. So I was looking for some artwork that wasn't a real person, that was like talking about Black women's beauty. So I was trying to find a picture that had like a mirror and someone looking in the mirror, but I couldn't find the right one. And then that because I wanted you to understand that the person was looking in the mirror. And then I was trying to, anyway, I found some different artwork and most of the artwork didn't work. I was also thinking, you know, those like pictures where it's like a ray of like color, because I wanted to give like the women's faces almost like the Commodores album cover was like the ray of faces and then it's like the range of color and then it's like the women, but I was like, I don't know. So I was searching and then I think I put in like Black women beauty standards artwork. Long story short, in everything that I was looking for, I saw that and I was like, that actually fits what I'm talking about. But then I looked it up and it was for the film, but the film has nothing to do with what I'm about to talk about. So that film, I do want to give it credit, called Stamped from the Beginning. I did not see the film. Let me tell y'all what is ironic though. There's so quick story time. In my community, I always tell y'all, I live in Barton McFarland. It is one of the most divested from neighborhoods in Detroit. So they shut down our community center and our hospital, our high school, access to emergency services, our street lights. Most of the businesses have left. They cut off a lot of people's water and put people out of their homes on the fake mortgage scandal. So the 10 or 11,000 people that live in my neighborhood, they're still there. Like, they've done this over the 15-year period that we've been here, from the fake bankruptcy all the way to now. So the people who live like in my neighborhood um are people who like can't leave, right? Like, they don't have choices. Like, they probably bought their house, and they either like can't sell their house because nobody wants to move there, or they don't have the money to move, or like they like are renting because it's like a really inexpensive place to like rent. You know what I mean? So anywho, the Rudy Tootie, it makes way for like what we would call like community violence, or um people who do things to be able to do whatever they want to do in our community. And so people like me have started a block club, right? Shouts out to Hartwell Block Club. By the way, I just did our website today. I'm not finished, but if you go to hartwellblockclub.com, I started our block club. Let me know what you think about the website. Um, but so that's stuff like people like me do. But then you got other folks who were elected, and they think of things like allowing corporate industrial polluters to move into the neighborhood and like pollute. So which we resist against, and then they tell people that they're going to give people jobs, and then they let them stay. But any hootie Rudy Tootie, the czar of my neighborhood, I'm not talking about the elected official, I'm talking about this one person who's an elder, who has been in the community forever, that has money and power because he's a pastor, has a lot of clout, if you will, and connections. Anywho, Rudy Tootie, he has a film for the community. They always invite me to their stuff. I'm not gonna lie. The only reason I go to all the things because I live here, and I'm like, if this dude has this much power in my community, like, I need to be close to him so that I can keep my foot on his neck. But they're hilarious in my community. Like, they call me like the troublemaker because like I'm always passing out some sort of literature, knocking doors, whatever. You know what I mean? Let me just put up here what Leah said. She said, oh no, that was okay. Leah said, talking about taking advantage of almost an entire US population watching the game with pro Israel ads. That's my point. Not that bombing would have happened, right? Also, want to say peace to Akuma. Thanks for showing up. 2F said they grew up rollerblading. Rollerblading. No, I'm talking about roller skating. 2Fs. That's two different things. Roller skating. And peace, peace, Joe Black. So I'm gonna share my screen and we'll get into the article. Once again, if you doggy, she's right behind me hanging out. So peace to Pearl. But so this is from the Community Literacy Journal. Says volume 16, article 3, issue 1, critical social justice possibilities in hip hop literacies. So this was from the fall 2021. We've read an Elaine Richardson article before. And this is She Ugly, Black Girls, Women in Hip Hop and Activism, Hip Hop Feminist Literacies Perspectives. So I gave the citation. All right, boom. So the abstract says this work draws upon hip hop feminism, studies of Black girlhood and Black women and girls' literacies to illuminate the layered and violent narratives that shape society's treatment of Black women and girls, what these narratives look like in everyday life, how they are taken up and negotiated in different social spheres, such as an after school club for Black middle school girls and the platforms and artistry of women hip hop artists and creatives. Richardson considers what activism is possible through juxtaposing Black girls as emerging creatives, celebrity corporate artists, activists, they call Nicki Minaj and Cardi B, independent activist artists such as Noname and Dream Hampton. Given the far reaching representations of Black women and girls in popular culture, the art, lives, and platforms of women in hip hop are critical sites to understanding complexities, strategies, and possibilities for social change. They say that some keywords are hip hop feminism, Black girls and women's literacies, hip hop women artists. Oh, what is that that's happening? Hold on, guys. There we go. Okay. Um, Hip hop women artists, performance activism, social justice, Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, Noname, and Dream Hampton. So I want to say this as we get started. Um, I wanted to ask y'all. Oh, yes. Love Dr. E. I want to bring her on. I did reach out to her. Mm. So trying to get Dr. E to come on here. So thanks for reminding me, Pamela. I want her to come on here. So I'm gonna stop sharing for like 1 second. Now next month is gonna be, I think it's the 20th anniversary of when chicken heads come home to roost. And so uh reached out to Joan Morgan to see if she could come on here. So I really hope that she can. I sent a message to Trisha Rose because she has a book that's dropping. Eve has a book that's coming out later. So any hootie Rudy Tootie. Oh, and then oh, wait. Oh, so what is the name of this book? So Joan Morgan's book, just a moment. I posted about it on my We Found Hip Hop Instagram. She has another book. Lauryn Hill and the Miseducation. And what's the name of her book? She did a talk on Saturday evening that was presented by Culture by Design, and it happened in Milwaukee. And they were talking. Oh, so it's the 20-year anniversary of the miseducation of Lauryn Hill, and so she wrote a book, and the book is called. Joan Morgan wrote a book, and the book is called "She Begat This: 20 Years of the Miseducation of Miss Lauryn Hill." So they had a talk, and they did a whole thing, and so any hootie Rudy Tootie, that's that. So gonna read that book, the Eve book, reread when I am currently rereading When Chicken Heads Come Home to Roost. I ordered Trisha Rose's book. So these are some things I'm thinking about doing next month for Women's History Month. Another thing, oh, you know what? I didn't even post about it yet. I need to post about this event that's taking place. Did I send y'all this? I'm like, did I send it to you? Zenzabel. Let me see. I'm striving to see if I sent y'all this message. Okay, boom. So also gonna bring on Martha Diaz. I don't know if y'all know Martha Diaz. She's a producer. She's done a lot of great things in hip hop. But long story short, she has so fresh, so bold, and so deaf. And they are producing about a year of content. April the 4th, they are going to have a talk with all the pioneer women of hip hop. It's going to be at Lincoln Center in New York City, and that's going to be dope. So inshallah, I'm going to New York City for that. I have it on my calendar. She called me and asked me would I come, and I want to come. There's going to be another one in the fall, but that one's going to be for like the next generation, which would be like myself. And then there will be another one in the spring 2025, and that's going to be for the next generation, like the youngies, like the, millennial and Gen Z types. Mm. But I'll keep posting about it on my social media, but it's going to be at Lincoln Center. It's going to be a healing discussion with women in hip hop. And I think it's called like, what do we need to change in our culture or something like that. But she's invited, it's a tribute to women in hip hop. She's invited all the pioneers. So I really gotta be there. So yeah, and she's gonna come on the show next month. She's my first guest for March for Women's History Month to promote that event. So just wanted to come off and say that. I'm gonna go back to, oh no, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm gonna share my screen. All right, boom. So let's get into this article. And thanks, y'all. But, all right. She ugly. If you don't know when somebody ugly, I don't know what to tell you. She has surgery. Some people are ugly. She ugly and she nasty. That was Nicole's case closed slam dunk statement on the matter. We had just watched a music video, Letter to Nicki Minaj, that came out during the 2012-2013 school year. It featured a group of young Black girl performers we called Watoto from the Nile. Their 2012 Kickstarter campaign page describes them as a group of young princesses from their hometown of Harriet Tubman City in Baltimore, Maryland. They have come to breathe life into a destructive music culture that's on life support. Around the time of Letter to Nicki Minaj, the core of the group was comprised of three sisters, Nia, age 12, Naya, age 11, and Kamaria, age 7, and another girl, Mary Angel, age 12. The oeuvre of their work speaks to social injustices against Black people. The group is mentored by the sister's father with a strong Afrocentric emphasis. Watoto has songs about police brutality, violence, misogynoir, Black racialized and gendered misogyny in hip hop. Black Lives Matter, a dedication to Trayvon Martin, the benefits of a plant based diet, and more. I purposefully shared this video with my after school club girls because it featured Black girls close to their own ages who were creating a public platform using performance arts to share their opinions about things that concern their lives and their communities. The video fit with the Black and hip hop feminist performance based approach I was implementing. During the time of the club, 2010 to 2015, and unfortunately throughout history and currently, Black women and girls be facing down discourses not of our own, making that empower everybody but us. I'm deeply invested in doing my part to push against structural barriers and narratives to make visible complex, mundane truths that are killing us, like she ugly. As such, I come at this work as a Black woman literacy scholar in community with my community, and I don't know who all needs to hear this, but we tired. Black women and girls' literacies on our own terms. We tired of the traditional narrow view that promotes literacy as a print-bound, politically neutral, private mental activity where letters correspond to sounds and sounds to words, and reading and meaning making are universal and context free. Who beautiful? How you define beauty? Who's smart? Who is a good girl or woman? Who is worthy? How you answer these questions is informed by your identity, the image, patterns, and words you've internalized from the social activities in which you have participated from school, from media, your life experiences, your history, the sense you make, and the meanings you identify with are informed by your socialization. The ideas, myths, attitudes, and values you hold are programmed into you. Critical literacy is the search for truth through interrogating what we've been fed. We must ask ourselves to hold us that and why. Who is empowered or disempowered by certain knowledge and social arrangements? For example, Black women's and girls' so called inherent at riskness, in particular, is socially constructed. This means there's a whole web of social practices related to economic, political, patriarchal, cultural, racist, and sexist arrangements that continually hold us down. The mission of Black community literacies education is to interrupt racism, sexism, classism, cultural conflict, and social inequality. In my Black critical hip hop feminist literacies approach, I use storytelling, viral and rap music videos, art making, news, media, documentaries, short literature pieces, performance, creative writing, and dialogue inquiry to center our lived experiences and activate our creativity for purposes of our collective empowerment. Drawing upon hip hop feminism, studies of Black girlhood, and Black women and girls literacies, I focus on how Black women and girls advance and protect ourselves and our loved ones in society. Strategies we use to make meaning and assert ourselves in the face of violent systems of power. Hip hop feminist literacies work to thwart violence against Black women and girls and centers her stories. The focus is upon the creative potential of Black girlhood. It's about our joy, pleasure, and love. In 2000, Joan Morgan, the thinker that described and defined hip hop feminism, highlighted the greatness of the perspectives that manifested in her own life and in young Black women of that era. Kierna Mayo says of the late 1980s and 1990s hip hop feminist generation, we manifested the politics of a spanking new Black feminism and told her she could bring a la her homies contradiction, agency, image, desire, power, media, sex, white folks to the hood and the academy. And we did all this while steeped in a cultural ecosystem that was developed at warp speed, fueled by the machinations of young men that were often toxic, young men that we loved. Then and now, Black women and girls are entangled in patriarchal systems with our brothers, sons, and loved ones. We are expected to be sources of love, loyalty, and labor, even when being the source may be harmful. This expectation is manifested by the general society in which Black people and hip hop are entangled. This is the greatness of life. Hip hop feminist informed community literacy work holds space for women and girls of color to work through our experiences and imagine better for ourselves individually and collectively. As a Black hip hop feminist, literacy performance activist, I facilitate Black girlhood as a space of creativity. I ask, what power can be harnessed if we see our girls and ourselves as creatives? What activism is possible from commercial, corporate, celebrity artists? What can we learn from looking at artists as activists? Not every artist is an organizer, but artists have fans, followers, platforms, and are social influencers. The messages they convey in their art and lives are far reaching and important sites of critical inquiry. I'm going to go back to the chat for a second, see what y'all talking about, if y'all talking. I want to say peace, peace, peace. Who's here? So, peace, Nuwadi, Obi. Um, so want to know what y'all think about that so far. I will say, I do want to acknowledge the article, this, what I've read so far, is written from a very hetero normative lens. So, should I say I apologize? I can't apologize because I didn't write the article, but don't want folks to think that the heteronormative tone of the article is a reflection of like my values. That's all. I should have said that ahead of time. But okay, so The making of black. Oh, but, 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 but I don't, but I don't necessarily think I disagree with anything I heard so far. Do want to say that. Let me see. I'm gonna share my screen again. And I'm gonna go back and forth. So if y'all have stuff to say in the chat, I'm gonna keep checking the chat. I'll do the best I can. Um, the making of Black girl activist artists. Our work in the club was about us creating our own brand of powerful self literacy education and teasing out the threads of critical social justice possibilities in Black culture and Black popular culture and in ourselves, as both are tied to violence. So Nicole's slam dunk, seemingly self-evident fact about Nicki Minaj, she ugly, is a statement not to be written off or taken lightly. But where did we get that from? Where did that come from? Why do we call each other ugly? I ask. Georgia chimes in, low rating Nicki Minaj as a person and an artist. She ratchet and she can't rap. Can you beat her? I asked. Um, there's a footnote, as you can see, here, and it says, for a thorough review of hip hop feminism, Trisha Rose and Joan Morgan, to the contemporary cadre of hip hop feminist scholarship and activism, see Holiday, Aria, Ashley N. Payne's introduction, Savage and Savvy, mapping contemporary hip hop feminism, 21st century BITCH frameworks, hip hop feminism comes of age. And that's from the Journal of Hip Hop Studies. I did pull each one of these articles to talk about. So at some point, uh, I will. Um, I can beat her. I can rap better than that if you give me some words to rap on, Georgia says with conviction. My tones rise to match hers. I'm giving you words by showing this video. Nicki Minaj can rap, and I love her. I watch her videos over and over, says Maylin. That's that's for dudes, says Georgia, just as matter of factly as she pleases. Why Nicki Minaj want to be like ratchetness and dirty and having no clothes? I'm not gay, bruh. I say if Nicki Minaj was in here right now, you would be saying none of that. Maya speaks her thoughts in a quiet, timid voice. I watch it over and over too, and I'm not gay. Thanks for keeping it real, Maylin replied, as though she was a defense attorney pleased by the contribution of her star witness. I turned and scanned the whole group of about 14 girls on that day to encourage them all to speak. Why did Watoto from Denial make the video? What is Letter to Nicki Minaj about? Maylin jumps right in. The girls singing about how Nicki a star and how all the young girls in school want to be just like her. She should use her power for the community. Girls shouldn't look up to her as a good person. Again, scanning the room in hopes of including more voices, I ask, how do we know if she is a good person from her performance? Then an argument starts. Georgia, she ratchet. Nicole, I don't like her. Maylin, who cares? Shut up. Georgia, Nicole, and Maylin were friends and three of the strongest personalities. One of my roles as facilitator of the club is to hold space for all of the girls and give them a chance to voice their thoughts, but also to redirect and keep them focused. I threw up my hand to try to head off a negative argument and keep us connected to the purpose of the group. I posed a question. Do y'all remember when we watched the Black Girl Project? Remember our talk about Black women and girls and our ongoing fight for social change? Anybody got any notes on that? What are some of the ideas in Watoto's song that shows some of the same issues we've been going through in our history? About class mobility, Tamia offered up in our for our consideration. I say. Okay, speak on it. How does Letter to Nicki relate to class mobility? Moving up in life, said Kat. Okay, good. She said, moving up in life. Isn't Nicki Minaj being successful at moving up in her life? How do we as Black women and girls in our community move up in life? A person moving up as an individual doesn't necessarily help other people in our community move up. How do we move up together? By having a good job, Lizzie says. Okay, but you have a good job, but you having a good job gonna help us all move up? I asked as I stood up to move around the room. Having an education, Georgia says, and I smile at her because I'm pleased that they dropped the argument and she is in the dialogue. Walking over near Georgia, I respond, education is good, but we need the right education that helps us as people. Having a dream, Lizzie says. Lizzie's answer recalls the contribution of our brilliant and beloved civil rights leader, Dr. Martin Luther King. This answer is a conversation on a social change is great, but I am pushing the girls to recount key ideas from the Black Girl Project. The documentary explicitly spoke of Black women and girls as path breakers in science, education, culture, entertainment, and government, accompanied by images of Oprah, Michelle Obama, Shirley Chisholm, Beyonce, Little Kim, and Alicia Keys. Yet the documentary raised an important question that we spent ample time on. But does any of that matter when we are still looked upon as mules, mammies, and workhorses of the world? So I respond to Lizzie and the entire group. I mean, it's good to have a job, a dream, and education, but what are some concrete ways that we can make differences in our community and our own lives? Change stuff that's not right, like how Black women fought for us as Black people to get free, to vote, to have rights, and support the needs of Black women and girls as a group. Georgia asks, can we watch that video again? She does not like my reply. We can, but not at this moment. She goes, imitating screechy tires. You bootleg, she decrees. Sorry if you didn't catch it or were absent that day. I'll show it again. But right now, I know somebody in here remembers the one girl who was talking about how reading W.E.B. Du Bois helped her learn that Black people can have power through social change. What does that mean to have power through social change? She said direct change, Kat says. She said a lot of his readings talk about you can only have direct change from political power. That got Nicole's attention. Who said that? Summoning Kat with my right hand in Baptist tambourine flair. Say it again, Kat. Kat obliged in a cool voice of knowing. The girl in the Black Girl Project said she learned that from reading W.B. Du Bois, a Black sociologist. I remember some of y'all talked about things you wanted to see changed. Y'all said y'all want people to stop calling Black girls names like bald headed, for a school to stop suspending people and teachers to listen more. These are important issues about how y'all are treated. We said we were going to organize, do creative projects, present them into the school. Hold on. Let me see if y'all talking in the chat for half a second. Um Go back here for a minute. Oh, I'm gonna go back and share again. Let me see, share the screen. All right, boom. All right, Black desired, despised, and indisposable. The range of possibilities to Nicki Minaj praised and castigated her as a star, and personally, largely revealing Nicole's and George's moves for affirmation and the contradiction of the Black rhetorical condition. This is a condition where Black bodies are despised for not being so called normal and desired as essential to the political economy. Nicole, one of the girls castigating Nicki, had access to light skin privilege, but she also experienced discrimination because she identified as lesbian. Georgia was light skinned as well, but known as a bully and a struggling reader. Nicole had to defend herself a lot, fending off boys who picked on her. She was suspended often, which broke my heart, and she was a star when she was able to participate in the club. Similarly, I saw the star power in Georgia. Both of these girls challenged me in different ways to be the best and learn from them how to bring the best out of them and myself. In the larger school system, both of these girls were marked as bad and at risk for the school to prison pipeline and other forms of containment. Their lives reflect the Black rhetorical condition as well as align with the Black Girls Project view that Black girls and women are exploited as mules, mammies, and workhorses of the world, having to work twice as hard to be valued, yet devalued. The sentiment, if not the words, the girls assigned to Nicki Minaj, ugly, nasty, ratchet, dirty, naked, having surgery, bears this out as well. Additionally, Georgia's insinuation that girls who find pleasure in Nicki's performances are gay marks the same gender adoration as aberrant. This is not to say that Nicki's ratchet performance in Stupid Ho, the song and video that Watoto of the Nile target, should not be critiqued. It is messy and gray, not as black and white as any of us may like it to be. And for those consumers who love her performance, gay or not, more power to them. The song This Is Little Kim, aka Queen B. Kim gained wide recognition in the mid 90s with Biggie Smalls and the Junior Mafia camp. Kim and Nicki had ongoing beef ever since Nicki dropped the mixtape around 2007 with an image of herself on the cover that was a definite bite of Little Kim's hardcore cover. During the time when Nicki dropped Stupid Ho around 2012-ish, ratchet was almost synonymous with classless. Of course, like most black slang, ratchet has changed rapidly and has a range of meaning potentials depending on who is saying that, when, where, and to whom. Middle class black folks can perform and find joy in ratchet performance and critique notions of anti blackness and anti respectability lane. Respectability is always held over the heads of working class black people perceived as not measuring up to middle class blackness. I identify with working class Black people, even though I have earned a PhD in English and applied linguistics. We are seen as the personification of lowless rather than performing narratives that underlie oppressive systems, neither of our own making. I am thinking particularly about my one woman show and book from Po Ho on dope to PhD. I understand performance as survival. Ratchetness is a form of social currency. Human beings that perform ratchetness are not illegal nor illiterate. Sometimes a girl has to do what she must. We are incorporated into the punitive culture of varying realms of anti Black woman violence, from the performances of Nicki Minaj to young girls all trying to find their way to power. So when Georgia and Nicole started dissing Nicki, I tried to redirect their thinking to our collective humanity and to how they themselves experience violence every day when they are called names, such as bald headed, by those who want to diss and degrade their humanity, when teachers don't understand or have time to listen to their experiences, when suspension in the schools is the school's answer to Black girls' unmet needs. These Black girls in masses across the country live in communities that continue to suffer intergenerationally from decades of federal, state, and local policies that disadvantage them. I'm not alone in recognizing this. Black feminist scholar Aria Halliday reminds us of how the histories of subjugation, degradation, and subsequent stereotyping of Black women affect how Black women and girls' bodies are made visible, invisible, and hypervisible in the media. Sensibilities normalize the economies of rape culture and Black girl socialization into existing power structures. For me, rape culture is about people in power taking advantage and exploiting weaker people. Rape is entangled with capitalist exploitation. This includes countries that underdevelop third world peoples and take their natural resources, environments where rape is rampant and normal, and people who get raped are blamed. Rape is powerful when a powerful and well-resourced country systemically withholds social goods from people because they are not able to pay, or they are not seen as worthy because they have been racialized or made outcast because of their gender and sexuality. I understand racialized gender and sexuality are part of power structures in my usage, and refers to the diminishment of people of color because they have been othered, negatively sexualized, and gendered, as they are not white, middle class, and heterosexual. This racialization and stigmatization of people because they are not white, middle class, or seen as less than human because of their gender and sexuality is made to seem normal. It is an acceptable form of hatred used to deprive people of rights, privileges, goods, and services. Personal achievement narratives also create power structures that uphold the violent system of capitalism, which is based on the myth that some people are better and worth more than others because of their individual hard work. The hard work that many people do to stay alive is discounted, though it is essential lifeblood for the system of sexist, racial, capitalist inequality. It is difficult to focus on the violence of capitalism because it is intertwined with social progress, mobility, and leisure. For collective power building work that brings us together, Alicia Garza, one of the founders of Black Lives Matter, urges that we must learn and unlearn about each other to create strong alliances based on differently experienced yet connected exploitation and oppression. Mm. I think I would also say that's kind of Black United Front framework. But in the particular conversation with the girls, I tried to prevent erasure of Nicki Minaj, the performer and person, and encourage them to think beyond the binaries to which we've become accustomed. Because of the constraints within which I worked in the after school space and middle school girls, I was not able to engage more deeply the ways that Nicki's performance could be considered an attempt to clap back at racialized sexual and gender ideas of beauty and sexuality. What I did was try to center us in art as a mode of inquiry, resistance, creativity, and freedom. My commentary, as well as ongoing work with women and girls and my own self, seeks to illuminate and refuse violence against us, center the needs for us to strive to love our whole selves and each other, and develop critical consciousness, and focus toward working for concrete change in our communities. The girls of Watoto from the Nile rap and sing a song that encourages Nicki Minaj to use the power of her celebrity as a hip hop artist and with a huge platform to lead young girls to fight for their liberation. The representations of Nicki's performance in Watoto's song and video highlight her star status, alluring sexuality, revealing clothing, spectacular performance of sexual and music industry bondage freedom. Watoto also highlights Nicki as a Harriet Tubman figure, a linkage to Black women and girls' historic struggle against systems of exploitation. They illuminated Nicki as a purveyor of stereotypes of Black sexuality and framed her within the dehumanizing white male enslaver gaze of Black feminist sexuality. This is a widespread practice rooted in slavery, which polices, criminalizes, and exploits Black women and girls' bodies and lives. What can we learn from taking a closer look at Black women hip hop artists as celebrity corporate artists, as activists, and independent artists activists? Hmm. You said I appreciate the tambourine flair. Um, so that's a good question. If y'all have reactions, please put them in the chat because I am actively checking the chat. It says celebrity corporate artist as activist Nicki Minaj. Like many other Black celebrity hip hop artists, Trinidadian born and Queens, New York bred, Nicki Minaj started life in humble beginnings. She came up the ranks through mixtapes and made her way to the first woman rapper signed to Young Money Records. She is a highly skilled and carefully crafted commercial hip hop music industry artist. She is beautiful and voluptuous. Her lyrics are filled with braggadocio. She is known for a creative, if sometimes controversial, persona. She has a mass pop crossover appeal and a high standard of living for herself and her family. Among Nicki's stances, she has spoken out about white cultural appropriation of Black culture, in particular, how Black artists are snubbed and devalued while white artists are rewarded. Because of her solidarity on issues of women's and LGBTQ rights in 2019, she pulled out of tour in Saudi Arabia. She has also donated proceeds from one of her songs to the Bail Project, which works to end cash bail and disrupt mass incarceration. Her philanthropic efforts include financing clean water wells to villages in Chennai, India, as well as providing college scholarships to loan repayments for students through her initiative, Student of the Game. Nicki is a complex artist and Black woman in America. She is good, sometimes makes bad decisions, but not ugly, but is clear that she has I think Big Teal told me how to say this word. Is it penchant for supporting her men, relatives, and friends, regardless of their violence against women and girls. She fell under scrutiny when she bailed out her brother in 2015 on charges of sexually assaulting his then 11-year-old stepdaughter. Her brother was convicted and sentenced to 25 years in prison. Similarly, Nicki has stood by her husband, who in 95 pled guilty to attempted rape to avoid the charge of first degree rape that occurred in 94. The woman who accused Nicki Minaj's husband of rape has alleged that Minaj offered her money to recant her story as well as harass her. The woman is now suing Nicki Minaj. Her husband has also been recently charged for not registering himself as a sex offender in the state of California, for which he will face sentencing. Further down his trail and tail is that Minaj previously defended her husband, writing in reference to the alleged rape, which occurred when Hugh, the victim, was 16. He was 15. She was 16 in a relationship, but go off internet. Y'all can't run my life. Y'all can't even run your own life. Minaj has previously worked with and defended fellow rapper 6ix9ine, who pleaded guilty to the use of a child in a sexual performance in 2015. Furthermore, Nicki has been rebuked for reckless use of her Twitter platform of over 22 million followers. She tweeted that her cousin's friend in Trinidad became impotent after being vaccinated and that she wasn't going to the Met Gala because she didn't do enough research to feel comfortable to take the vaccine. She was confronted by Anthony Fauci, chief medical advisor to President Biden, and Joy Reid, a well respected Black woman, MSNBC correspondent, and many others. They call Joy Reid well respected, but whatever. Stated that although Black people should be skeptical of a mandated vaccine given the treatment of Blacks in this country, conspiracy theories have been debunked by science. Reid expressed sadness that Nicki used her platform in a way that might encourage already vulnerable Black people to not get the vaccine. Looking at Nicki Minaj as a celebrity corporate artist, as activist, highlights how her complex personality plays out in her performance around critical social justice actions. It is equally important to take into consideration how we are all socially positioned by our beliefs, psychological status, and spiritual clarity. Excuse me. Reading the world with Black girls through a popular woman hip hop artist such as Nicki Minaj presents the opportunity to examine our self interests, self investments, self determination, and the ways that white power structure and corporate patriarchal interests penetrate how we see each other and ourselves. Reading Nicki's performance art and her life could help us think more creatively about how we get free. We must read against the patriarchy and create what we need. Let's see what we got. Oh, peace, Yipper99, peace giving goddess. Let me see. I'm gonna go back to the article. So independent artist, activist, Noname. I've been trying to get Noname on here too. I don't know. She's not answering any of my inquiries. So Jared said he was trying to get her too, and he was having problems. So I don't know. And I think he said she was supposed to have a show on here. I'm like, that would be so dope. Mm. I don't know. Maybe he can get her. So as an independent artist, activist, Noname, as an independent rapper, not tied to a major corporate label, Noname may be more explicitly legible as an activist artist rather than a celebrity artist as activist. Her fellow Chicagoan and phenomenal independent artist Chance the Rapper featured her on the track Lost in his 2013 mixtape Acid Rap. It was downloaded over 1 million times. In 2016, she shined again on Chance's Grammy winning coloring book. She dropped her own critically acclaimed debut, Telephone, in 2017. These moves provided wider recognition for Noname and the means to become a self sustained artist with creative control over her brand and the music and politics she chooses to share. I wish there was a different narrative of what rappers can be. We're only pitched to aspire to be almost unnecessarily wealthy, she tells music reporter Dan Rice or Reese. I think unnecessarily wealthy is a valuable idea. For me, it conjures the idea of necessary wealth capitalism as a tool rather than as a means to an end. Another narrative Noname pushes against is myths of women in hip hop and conscious rap that pit them against each other to the detriment of their collective power. She has written about horniness, her first time, a failed love affair, and used her vagina as a powerful character in her lyrics on her Room 25 project. She says she used the word pussy around 1,000 times in it. A lot of my fans, I think they like me because they think I'm like the anti Cardi B. I'm not. Noname tells Rawia Kamir in The Fader. I think Noname deliberately wrote songs celebrating her sexuality to show solidarity with Black women rappers whose bread and butter is portraying their sexuality in their music, and to let them know she sees them as whole persons and much more than their performance. Though she is not the anti Cardi B, and I would add, nor the anti Nicki Minaj, fame is not the end game for her, at least not to the point where she is taking up unnecessary space. She seeks to attract people to political education through her brand of music and art. As someone who was a slow reader in school, being fed fictitious bullshit, she found slam poetry, and the rest is history. She became attracted to revolutionary concepts and ideas through enjoyable art, music, and film that can be seen and heard. Her creation of Noname Book Club comes out of her experience. The book club is a space to discuss social justice literature and donate books to prisons. She raises money through Patreon to send monthly book picks to prisons and to pay facilitators, staff, graphic artists who work to curate high quality monthly book discussions. Book club meetups are online because of COVID, and there are book club chapters in major cities across the US and one in London. Noname Book Club has partnerships with libraries around the country to make sure monthly book club picks are available for free at nonamebooks.com. Her artistry and community building outreach are intertwined with her quest to understand and thwart inequitable systems. She uses Twitter to connect with liberation movements and revolutionary thinkers such as longtime prison industrial complex abolition organizer Mariam Kaba at Prison Culture. PIC Abolition is a positive project that focuses in part on building a society where it is possible to address harm without relying on structural forms of oppression or the violent systems that increase it. Love Miriam Kaba. I also reached out to her to come on here I didn't hear anything. If y'all know her or have access to her, I was trying to get her and No Name to come on here and talk about that work they did together. So, in a beautiful conversation between No Name and Mariam Kaba about the role of art in abolition, Kaba explains that we need art such as hip hop to help transform our world. She believes we all have that responsibility to make the world better. At the same time, Kaba acknowledges not everybody's an organizer, and that's okay. But when artists do create art that helps people think differently, it can help disrupt patterns and old ways of thinking. Of her fellow hip hop artist, No Name ruminates, I just want us to dream a little bit bigger than reform. I feel a bit of frustration in her reply since she bemoans the power of hip hop artists to bring people together, but largely for their own capitalist gains. That's all I'm wanting from us, from hip hop artists as a community. I think a lot of it is because folks don't have people around challenging them, No Name reflects. The wise Kaba agrees that a major problem with celebrities is that they must be self regulated, self accountable, and tied to organizations. With regard to Kaba's abolitionist praxis, Naomi Murakawa attests Kaba's abolitionist vision burns so bright precisely because she refuses to be the single star dazzling alone. Why be a star when you can make a constellation? A constellation of organizers, co founders, and co conspirators together in abolitionist practice of refusal, care, and collectivity. In alignment with this philosophy and movement, No Name honors hip hop's origins in collective struggle. She believes this art form was created for Black liberation to share the message of what is going on in our communities, because a community that I come from made this work, and now I'm able to sustain myself. I feel it's my responsibility to be as honest and radical in my music as I possibly can. Mm. Celebrity as artist in Cardi B. But let's check the chat. Okay, so Akuma likes Sundial album. Hmm. So Cardi B is no less honest and radical, if not in her music, then certainly in her representations, her critical commentary on the politics of feminism, the music industry, conservatism, racism, and more. Hmm. She is a Black Latina rap star who made a name for herself in reality TV on Love and Hip Hop New York. Cardi B doesn't embrace traditional ideologies of feminism or respectability. She represents a naked truth that resonates with the life experiences of today's hip hop and Black Lives Matter generations. In her unashamed journey from stripping to chart topping celebrity artists, she gets the bag and works to support her community. In 2018, Time magazine named her one of the most 100 most influential people in the world. In her 2017 piece, Cardi B, Love and Hip Hop's Unlikely Feminist Hero, Sherry Williams writes about the powerful activist work that Cardi B does through pop culture and social media. Williams suggests that Cardi B should be enlisted in the feminist movement. In particular, Williams cites Cardi B's November 2016 Instagram post that reached millions of her followers that might not otherwise fathom Black feminism. Hmm. If you believe in equal rights for women, that makes you a feminist. I don't understand how you bitches feel like being a feminist is a woman that have an education, that have a degree. That is not being a feminist. You discouraging a certain type of woman. That certainly doesn't make you one. Some bitches want to act like, oh, you have to read a book about feminists. That's only a definition for a simple word. The problem is that being a feminist is something so great that y'all don't want me to be great, but don't want me to be great, but too bad. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to encourage any type of woman. You don't have to be a woman like me to encourage and support you and tell you, yes, bitch, keep going. And that's why you mad, you little dusty ass bitch. Cardi B claps back on a narrowly defined view of her literacy as relegated to reading a book about feminists. This strand of her literacy work is in the lineage of the great abolitionist Sojourner Truth. The liberatory mindset of abolitionists and women's rights activist Sojourner Truth could not be contained by conventional definitions of literacy that can be measured or standardized tests. The standard conception of literacy stratifies human beings and reproduces harm. Sojourner Truth's readings of Men and Nations resists and confronts stratifying white patriarchal systems in white suffrage. The Truth is reported to have said, I don't read such small stuff as letters. I read men and nations. I can see through a millstone, though I can't see through a a spelling book. What a narrow idea a reading qualification is for a voter. I know and do what is right better than many big men who read. Truth's actions on behalf of self preservation and collective uplift of Black lives. Her critical feminist literacies challenged patriarchy, enslavement, sexism, racism, and disenfranchisement. Unlike Truth, Cardi B is literate in the narrow sense of required of high school graduates in the current system. What Noname coined fictitious bullshit reading, like Sojourner Truth, Cardi B reads Men and Nations for the collective good of women and humanity. Like Nicki Minaj and many other Black women artists, Cardi B has been denigrated for having cosmetic surgery. One strand of thought among Black folks is the stigma of selling out or not being natural. Depending on the type of cosmetic surgery, selling out would be changing one's body to gain access to higher value in the market based on certain dominant conceptions of beauty and worth with regard to having butt surgery. The last time I checked, large and shapely butts are highly desirable as a black beauty mark. Rather than continue down this trail of beauty marks and recreated body parts, the point is all of us have the right to bodily autonomy. And as Black feminist activist Tanya Fields shared, radical Black joy is inherent as a human need and not some special trinket you get after you rise high enough on the socioeconomic ladder or unlock some special level of desirability or accomplishment. Generating spaces of Black joy and affirmation helps us to see ourselves with clarity. Our worth is inherent. We are not defined by market values with white Anglo aesthetics. Whether we decide to get surgery or not, we have to be spiritually healthy and self loving. At the end of the day, we are all performing and complicit with the market on some level. In Cardi B's foreword to activist Tamika D. Mallory's book, Is There Room for Someone Like Me? Cardi ponders if she is fit for movement work. She describes herself as a real ass bitch who feels compelled to speak out about injustice. Yes, I'm a rapper. Yes, I twerk. No, I'm not trying to be your children's role model. Presenting herself this way addresses the mindset of the shut up, rap, strip, run, or dribble sentiments of conservative critics. They want Black artists and athletes to get the bag and run. Colin Kaepernick and LeBron James are arguably the most iconic athletes of this generation who reject this sentiment. Uh, I might have pushback. Okay, but I'm keep reading. Along with artists such as Cardi B, they stand up, speak out, kneel, twerk, and otherwise advocate for racial justice. They want a country where the masses have their basic needs met: healthy food, clean water, housing, education, healthcare, art, joy, and a non violence based society. Cardi B is a real ass bitch and a damn good one, as we used to say. Though they have different experiences and neither woman is perfect, Cardi B is as important, if not more so, as an activist as is Michelle Obama. Skirt, skirt, skirt. But I'm going to just keep reading. But know the metaphysical dilemma of being alive, being a woman, and being colored. They both experience misogynoir and have some stake in the freedom of Black people. Their politics inform their identities and influence how people react to them. Both have inspirational stories that are about belonging. Both are celebrities with massive social reach and cachet with their respective constituencies. Both are political actors, whether they or others deem them so or not. Says Michelle Obama wants to be read as non political in her story of personal achievement and perseverance against Chicago's racism. She tells the story of opportunities that were not afforded suffering adults and for parents in her life, such as attending a magnet high school that set her on the path to Princeton, Harvard Law School, a six-figure salary, and beyond. She also spills secrets such as smoking marijuana, premarital sex as a youth that make her relatable to everyday people. She made it because of her family's commitment to her and her brother's success and their teachings of positive thinking. Kinga Yamada Taylor shows up the problem with this narrative. Thank goodness. Obama's own emphasis on striving as a way to overcome racial discrimination reduces racial inequality to one of psychological impairment that can be overcome through sheer determination and a positive attitude. She fails to see how it was bitter struggle against real institutions that created the new world she was able to strive in. Michelle Obama's message resonates with all kinds of women, especially because Black women, as Taylor reminds us, indeed, Black women in this country are so debased and ignored that it often feels as if the success of public adoration of Obama can lift and make visible all Black women, a process Obama herself encourages. Cardi B may not have as wide appeal as Michelle Obama, but her story is potent and connects with masses. She tells of growing up in a very strict home in her Bronx community. She describes herself as a loud kid who was full of confidence. Her inspiration to succeed was not wanting to go through what her mother went through. She always wanted to be an artist. She graduated high school and rebelled against her mother's rules, and her mom kicked her out. Cardi went on to college but did not finish. Hear her celebrating women in music. That's what that's from. She worked as a cashier and then as a stripper to become financially independent and escape an abusive boyfriend. She used that money to invest in her career. She describes herself as someone from the bottom, where it's a struggle to not be killed. Cardi B's struggle and rise to fame is what drives her to use her voice for those still in the bottom. A social media post by a former high school teacher speaks of Cardi B's political impact and intellect. For those of you on my feed who are trashing Cardi B for representing a political voice, A, she probably scored higher than you on the US History Regents exam and was in my AP government class. You are not nearly as busy as her. And what have you done to advance political discourse in this country? C, she has a national platform and is using it to speak about things that are important. Why can't we respect this? D, STFU. Can I say that? I guess. Shut the fuck up and take a seat. Um, Cardi B's platform brings awareness to millions with a single tweet, with a single social media post, and with a single soundbite. Even so, she is less legible to many as a political force than Michelle Obama. Even with all of her clout, rap moguls such as Jermaine Dupri aka Little Lord Fauntleroy, assessed women rappers such as Cardi B as not having any skills and just being a stripper rapper. To that, Cardi B seeks to the conditioning of all of audiences. First of all, I rap about my pussy because she my best friend. You know what I'm saying? And second of all, it's because it seems like that's what people want to hear. I ain't even gonna front because let me tell you something. When I did Be Careful, people was talking mad shit in the beginning. What the fuck is this? This not what I expected. I expected this. I expected that. So I'm like, if that's what people trying to hear, then all right then. I'm I'm gonna start rapping about my pussy again. There's a lot of female rappers that be rapping their ass off and don't be talking about their pussy and don't be talking about getting down dirty. Y'all don't be supporting them and they be mad dope. These bloggers don't support them. They don't give them recognition. So don't blame the shit on us where y'all not the ones supporting them. I don't see rappers as Cardi B and Meg the Stallion acquiescing to stereotypes as much as I see them capitalizing off their moment. They're getting in where they fit in. They're not fighting to change the music industry, but they speak out and advocate on social issues. Cardi B campaigned for Bernie Sanders in 2020. She interviewed him on her Instagram and Twitter to represent and educate her followers. She also spoke out against conservative Black women Republican activist Candace Owens, who rallied against her, calling her illiterate and irresponsible for using her platform to support Joe Biden, who played a role in mass incarceration. Owens also bashed Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion for their celebration of women's sexual pleasure on the song WAP. Owens argues that the song is destroying the values of Black community. Meg Thee Stallion, did she graduate? Well, this was in 21. It says she's set to graduate college with an undergraduate degree in health administration as of this writing and plans to go into building assisted living facilities. Did she do it? I have to look it up. After allegedly being, no, we won't say allegedly. After being shot in her foot by black male rapper Tory Lanez, Meg discussed how she was expected to keep silent, be strong, and not disclose her trauma or the identity of Lanez. She was already a supporter of Black women, but this incident caused her to speak out more frequently as an advocate for the protection of Black women. Megan published a powerful opinion piece in the New York Times, Why I Speak Up for Black Women. The piece addresses stereotypes, the many disparities Black women face, the lack of widespread education, or the many contributions Black women have made in society. She also spoke out against Daniel Cameron, the Black Republican Attorney General, who did not indict the Louisville, Kentucky police that killed the young Black woman emergency medical technician Breonna Taylor in the botched raid. But this passage from Megan's piece confronts why going after Black women rappers for portraying their sexuality misses the mark. I received quite a bit of attention for appearance as well as my talent. I choose my own clothing. Let me repeat, I choose what I wear, not because I am trying to appeal to men, but because I am showing my pride in my appearance, and a positive body image is central to who I am as a woman and a performer. I value compliments from women far more than from men, but the remarks about how I choose to present myself have often been judgmental and cruel, with many assuming that I'm dressing and performing for the male gaze. When women choose to capitalize on our sexuality to reclaim our power, our own power, like I have, we are vilified and disrespected. To protect children from materials that they are too young to critically process is this wide open digital information society is nearly impossible. This is not to excuse the corporate music industry as well as Hollywood that slot women and girls of color into certain sales categories and formulas that they created for maximum profit. Following bell hooks, I call it selling hot pussy. Hot piece structures feed the mindset that other aspects of women's and girls' humanity are not worth as much. Artists such as Megan and Cardi B are seen as street hookers in the parlance of conservative forces who want to put fear into white Christian fundamentalists or win over black Democrats. It is not surprising that Cardi B asked legendary activist Angela Davis, co forward writer to Tamika Mallory's book, where do people like her fit in the movement work? Davis extols, it is important that you and people like you, our artists, cultural workers, and influencers of new generations are present because you invite critical engagement with our current issues. Mm. Hip hop, like everything else, is diverse and full of internal contradictions. But it is absolutely clear that this music has helped to create new communities of struggle. Most often, it is the foregoers of our popular musical and visual cultures who know how to invite the world to experience at the level of feeling desires for habitable futures that scholars have not figured out how to convey. To see a critique of Angela Davis uh, giving Cardi B her props. There is a video, and I wish I could call it up in this moment. Jared had a conversation, and I think it was Dr. Joy James was in that conversation. I'm gonna look up the video. I'll try to have it ready next time. Let me just check the chat. All right, we got a lot of comments here. You said there was Akuma said there was a Zionist in the Super Bowl. So sports and politics always intertwine. Um, right. Everything is political. What else did we say? Uh Akuma says not the stripping or vulgar raps that bother me. It's just it's what they want excuse when it's not consumers who control the marketing. I agree with that. I agree with that. Akuma says activist is used too often when describing people. Yeah. Uh Yipper99 said in one of Megan's songs, she said she graduated. So yeah. Okay. Um Anything? Okay, I'm gonna go back to l'article. All right. So independent activist artist Dream Hampton. Her love for the Detroit hood of her nurture, her near rape at age 12, the verbal violence that gripped her in the mid 80s rap battle between Roxanne Shante and the real Roxanne, her coming of age during the devastation of the Black community by crack cocaine to the sounds of rap, graduated from NYU's Tisch School of the Arts. Her profiles of up and coming hip hop artists and stars and rap songs provided insight. Her writings about police brutality, massage noir, and rap, and the politics of the music industry raised awareness among the young and elders. Highly productive soul she is. Her passion is for producing justice oriented films and documentaries. One of many is Treasure, From Tragedy to Trans Justice, mapping a Detroit story about Shelley Hilliard, a murdered Black trans teenager. I had the honor of screening that film for a Hip-Hop Literacies conference in Ohio State University in 2016. She co-founded the New York chapter of the Malcolm X grassroots movement. A byproduct of that was her film, Black August. This film centered hip hop performers and music to school their peers to the plight of incarcerated Black political prisoners. Kalanji Jamachanga interviewed Dream. And she gave the history of that. So look for that interview. It's pretty good. Mm. We demand justice for Renisha McBride, highlighted the consequences of suburban, segregated sunset towns. The case in point demonstrated the dehumanization of a car wrecked black teenage girl in Dearborn Heights, Michigan in 2013. A white man shot and killed this girl for knocking on his door for help. A 2018 documentary, It's a Hard Truth, Ain't It? Chronicled 13 incarcerated men as they studied filmmaking to explore how they ended up with decades long prison terms. Another executive produced docuseries, 2019's Finding Justice, moves the lens from mass incarceration to mass criminalization of Black folks and our search for justice. For this work and much more, activist artist Dream Hampton was named one of the most influential people by Time in 2019. This recognition came in the year she produced the documentary Surviving R. Kelly. Surviving was the documentary that did what the viral tape of R. Kelly having sex with and urinating in an underage girl's mouth in the early 2000s could not do. This documentary did what approximately $200,000 in civil, is it 200,000? Yeah, that's a point. In civil rights settlement paid by R. Kelly to cover up wrongdoings over the past 2 decades could not do. This documentary did what 25 years of journalism and careful research by Jim De, how do you say his name? DeRogatis was not able to do. None of this got the courts interested in charging R&B hip hop soul star R. Kelly for his abuse and exploitation of Black and brown women and girls. Surviving created public empathy for the survivors by creating a carefully informed and curated platform for the stories of survivors and their families. Surviving was aided by Me Too, Time's Up, and the work of activists and grassroots organizers. Asada's Daughters, Black Lives Matter, B by P100 are organizations who work on different fronts to help to make a way for surviving. A Long Walk Home is an organization Dream Hampton reached out to for its expertise in supporting sexually abused young girls. The organization provided pivotal support for survivors as they told their traumatic stories. Mute R. Kelly was co founded by Oronike Adeleye and Kenyette Tisha Barnes with the goal of interrupting R. Kelly's ecosystem of handlers, employees, music sales, concerts, and other entities, and sustained his world of sexual exploitation of Black and brown women, girls, and boys. When Odele and Ode, wait, Odeleye and Barnes formed Mute R. Kelly in 2017, few people were listening to the accusers who had stepped forward to tell their stories. They went on a mission to literally stop people from playing R. Kelly's music, trying to get it removed from radio airwaves and streaming services. The two also worked to get Kelly's label, RCA, to end his contract and gave a platform to local grassroots organizations working with survivors. Their push led to the industry acknowledging Kelly's wrongdoings more seriously than ever before. It also created a runway for Surviving R. Kelly, the 2020 docuseries that brought national attention to the singer's abuse. Surviving validated so much for me in an interview about surviving with Democracy Now! In 2019. Dream Hampton said something that gripped me. Many more women than the survivors who appeared on camera told their stories off camera. These women knew that they would be shamed, not believed, and dragged. At the 2016 Hip Hop Literacies Conference, Black Women and Girls Lives Matter panel, one panel featured a presentation of Ronette Burks, then warden of the Ohio State Reformatory for Women. This one thing she said has also stuck with me. Upwards of 80% of the women in the prison were victims manipulated by men. The majority of these women don't see themselves this way. This shows how deeply ingrained it is for Black women and girls to support Black men, even when it's to our own detriment. As a survivor of teenage and young adult sex trafficking, it took me a long time to figure out that I was exploited. Not by R. Kelly, I was exploited by four pimps from the ages of 13 to 24. Black women, 24. Black women and girls are among the most vulnerable people in this society, as Black men and boys are more often foregrounded as endangered, miseducated, mass incarcerated, ignored by public health care, exploited economically. However, Black women are the fastest growing incarcerated population, experience the biggest health disparities, and face economic oppression. From an intersectional standpoint, Black women are subjected to high levels of racism, sexism, discrimination at levels not experienced by Black men nor white women. This is the foundation of health inequalities. In Chin's Did You Know? The Plight of Black Girls and Women in America. Further, Black on Black conflict, subordination of Black women and girls, and homophobia are historically and currently rooted in racism, white heterosexual male supremacy, and capitalism. This shows how systems colluded to support R. Kelly's decades long reign of sexual violence against Black and brown women and girls in plain sight. A guilty verdict came down on R. Kelly in New York, September 21, 2020, September 27, 2021, for racketeering, sexual exploitation of children, forced labor, and sex trafficking. Though, as of the writing of this piece, he still has more trials and charges to face in Illinois and Michigan. I think he went already. I'm not sure. The rhetoric that allowed Kelly's pattern of abuse continued immediately after news broke. Outside the courtroom, Kelly's supporters blasted his music and cursed those lying bitches. Twitter users call Aaliyah fast in the same breath they condemned Kelly. Bill Cosby, who was found guilty of aggravated indecent assault but was recently released from prison after his conviction was bizarrely overturned, said that Kelly was railroaded and didn't have a fair trial. R. Kelly's conviction is the manifestation of a Herculean amount of labor by so many, mostly women organizers and allies, for such a long period of time. Yet, it seems minuscule in the face of the deep seated hatred of Black women and girls that this case represents. Dream Hampton represents an independent activist, artist who has been able to produce culture and art reflective of her political commitments to humanize Black people. Her work represents a belief in the people and insight into critical social justice possibilities in hip hop literacies and movement for Black lives. To maximize their profits, the corporate music industry promotes certain narratives and representations, thereby controlling how Black people, including Black women, are represented to themselves and the larger public. As Nicole Rousseau explains, the need of the political economy determined Black women's positions in the U.S. social structure. Black women are a unique laboring class within the racialized patriarchal structure of the United States. Social rhetoric is meaningfully constructed and manipulated as a tool of oppression. Given this context, what activism is possible for women hip hop performers and producers? The present brief review of celebrity corporate artists as activists and independent activist artists gives some idea. It was clear from the conversation with the girls in the after school club that some girls found Nicki Minaj's performance as pleasurable and appealing, while others saw it as negative. This divide among the girls is reflective of the Black rhetorical condition: desire, despise, and disposable. Amplification of social justice possibilities is necessary to inspire informed community work. For the most part, corporate celebrity artist activists such as Nicki Minaj and Cardi B don't have as much room for experiment with activist stances they can perform inside the commodified space of hip hop if they remain with major music labels. To recognize their contributions as well as their complexities, it is equally important to look at the causes they support, the stands they take, and the ways they use their platform. As, mm, as an independent activist artist, No Name's activism is equally legible across her performances, music, and platform. As far as hip hop generations go, Dream Hampton is an OG who has been able to consistently and explicitly direct her output to social change. As an independent activist, artist, and producer, writer, and filmmaker, she leverages her status, relationships with individuals, organizations, and movements to produce art culture to push narrative shifts. No Name is on this same path. Yeah, the footage that they use of the protest in the film, The Surviving R. Kelly, that was our group, the Detroit R. Kelly group. And yeah, Dream had called me to be like, "Yeah, can we come film?" And I was like, "Yeah." But I didn't go. I organized it, but I ended up not going because I had received something like, I think probably like about 250 like death threats and rape threats from weird R. Kelly super fan supporters. Most of them were women. Um but yeah, I wasn't about to like try to figure out if it was true or not. So I didn't want to jeopardize um the people that were there. You know what I'm saying? So just it was a mess. But any hootie rooty tootie, yeah. Um so much more investment and work is needed in our society to shift the narratives that make the evaluation of Black women and girls' lives normal. These narratives are almost ubiquitous. And while all of this is going down, our mostly white conservative citizens are trying to stop schools from teaching the racist history and systems of our country that continue to harm people. They want to keep the masses docile, homophobic, and aggressively racist or unmotivated to fight for social change, while major conglomerates stay banked up at the expense of our misery. Black women and girls are working on many fronts to heal ourselves and recover from the constant barrage of everyday violence we experience. From my perspective as an engaged Black woman, community literacy scholar, and hip hop feminist literacies performance activist, I see it as imperative to read the world with and through Black women and girls' words and works to reveal our complexities, strategies, and possibilities for change. And these are all the cited works. They Biba Adams, that's my comrade here in Detroit. She's a writer. It was like she wrote for the Griot. Um, she wrote a teachable moment, and uh it says Joy Reid responds to Nicki Minaj call out. Also, noted in the Associated Press about that. And the book was noted. So yeah, these are uh I remember I talked about Ruth Nicole Brown, um, Moya Bailey, Massage Noir Transform, Black Women's Digital Resistance. The Ruth Nicole Brown is Here Are Truths, the Creative Potential of Black Girlhood. Um, but these are, all the references. Some of them we named, some of them we didn't name. And this was the bio of Dr. Elaine Richardson, is a professor of literacies at the Ohio State University in Columbus, where she teaches in the Department of Teaching and Learning. Her books include African American Literacies, focusing on teaching writing from the point of view of African American language and literacy traditions, hip hop literacies, a study of hip hop language, use as an extension of Black folk traditions, a PhD, Ho on dope to PhD, how education saved my life, on New City Community Press, an urban educational memoir that chronicles her life from drugs and the street life to the university, Richardson has also co-edited 2 volumes on African American rhetorical theory, Understanding African American Rhetoric, Classical Origins to the Contemporary Innovations, and African American Rhetoric's Interdisciplinary Perspectives, and 1 volume on hip hop feminism, Homegirls Make Some Noise. I think y'all know that one. I think I put that one on my reading list for this podcast. Her forthcoming book is titled Reading the World with Black Girls. I think that came out already. I'm gonna stop sharing. I'll go back to here. All right, peace everyone. We're back. We're back over here. Let's see what up though. 2F said if Cosby is defending you, that's a lot. I'm gonna start using sound effects, but I would say meow, 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 meow. Yeah, that happened. 2Fs. Peace everyone, peace everyone. So I'm back over here at the chat. I'm trying to see who all are y'all back with me at the chat? Y'all back over here at the chat? Yeah, just checking in with y'all. What do y'all think? Let me know some stuff in the chat. What y'all think about any of that? I love Dr. E. We meaning my organization and the women in hip hop who I represent, the rappers and everything and DJs and stuff. We went to Ohio State to the Hip Hop Literacies conference, and they performed, and it was really, really dope. And that's where I met a lot of people. So it's a really dope conference that Dr. E organizes over there. So shouts out to her. I'm wondering, I think I gave the reading list before. I gotta read like so many books and so many other books. I gotta get my schedule together because I want to read these books with y'all. It's so many women in hip hop books that are out. I'm like, ooh. It was a lot. Yipper 99. Yeah. I guess it was kind of a lot. But I guess at the end of the day, it was basically just talking about like Nicki Minaj is a so-called activist, what is a music industry performer that performs activism, I guess. And I guess the same for Meg Thee Stallion. Noname's like a rapper. Yeah, Noname's like a rapper. She's an activist, yeah. Noname's will I would title her an activist. And well, Dream is a celebrity and a artist activist, I would say. Yeah. So what do y'all think? Hey, you're welcome, Iatunde. How you doing? Um so says good evening. Okay, thank you. We'll figure it out. But wanted to see moving forward. You know what I should do? I'm trying to think how to. Are y'all following me on social media? Go in the description and follow me on social media, and that way I can double check if y'all are interested in the books that I just named. Also, too, let's give lots of energy to Ricky Ryan. So Ricky Ryan went to Cuba, y'all, and has the books that she took. So give her lots of love and encouragement for taking books to children to read. She took Black liberation books translated into Spanish. Books like The Bluest Eye and some other awesome books like that. So give her travel blessings, travel mercies, send those to her. And yeah. So I want to ask y'all to like, share, subscribe, share this episode. Let me know what y'all think. I guess it was a lot to try to process in one sitting. I appreciate y'all for joining me. I appreciate the Black Power Media audience and the Black Power Media ecosphere. Y'all are so dedicated and I appreciate you so much. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Glad that everyone was able to stop by because there's other shows going on. Y'all know our comrade Diallo is doing his show on a Monday. I feel bad, but it's the only other day I can do. I wanted to do a different day, but Monday is my best day according to my schedule. I told y'all I got 2 full-time jobs, 2 part-time jobs, 2 businesses, and 2 podcasts. Plus, I'm an activist in my personal life, and I have the block club I did not want to start, but had to start. Because I told you the craziness about where I live. And with that, I created another little personal social justice entity called the Healing Hood Homestead because I grow like 90% of my food, I told y'all, and there's a lot of things that I want to do that people in the block club, because I registered the block club with the city, they're not really going to be down for. So the other stuff I want to do in the neighborhood, I'm doing it through that because it doesn't squarely fit within my women in hip hop stuff. It doesn't squarely fit within my sustainable online fashion magazine. It doesn't fit squarely within my photography. It doesn't fit squarely with any other things that I do. So I created a whole nother thing. I really don't be meaning to create all these organizations and things, y'all. I just be trying to get stuff done. But because of the systems that we live in and the way people think, if it was up to me, it would just be, I wouldn't have no entities and no businesses and no organizations. I just be like, yo, come on, y'all, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. But because of the nature of the systems that we live in, I have to organize people. They want to know what they're coming to. And it's like, it's not like the 70s. You know what I'm saying? Like when I grew up in the 70s, it was like if somebody, like I went to this community center that was in the community neighborhood. It was called Operation Get Down. It was on the main avenue. So my older cousins would come get me because my auntie worked there. They would come get me. We would walk across the bridge. Literally, it's like a little bridge goes over the freeway. We'll walk across the bridge, go to Operation Get Down. They had basketball. They had a pool table. You could dance. We had like dance contests, musical chairs, all the things, right? They gave you free lunch. I hated milk. I did not want to drink my milk. They had to give me chocolate milk, so I would drink the milk. Then I don't see how y'all drank milk. I used to be like, So I had the chocolate milk, and we would get popsicle. The popsicle guy would come. We would get they would buy us the popsicle. It was a whole. We would go to the Belle Isle, is like our Central Park here. We'll go to Belle Isle. Have like, well, back then we called them picnics. We're not allowed to call it picnic anymore. But cookout is not appropriate. I mean, I guess cookout is quasi appropriate, but it wasn't like we were cooking out. When I think of cookout, I think everybody's cooking out together. But I guess technically it was a cookout. And they had like badminton. the horseshoe thing, like all the games, the slippy slide thing, they would take us on what's called a giant slide. Y'all probably seen that giant slide video. People got hurt in the 70s when they have all this suing. If you get hurt as a kid, you get hurt. And then you learn how to not do that again. But anywho, the tootie. And what else did we do? We had this thing called the Bobolo boat. And the Bobolo boat was this like cruise boat that I don't know how long it took. In kid hours, it was 3 hours. But basically, it was a tugboat. Was it tugboat? No, it was an actual boat. But it was like an old ass boat. And it had like a deck and all that kind of thing. And you would go on it. So they had this amusement park, and it was like Coney Island. But in order to get there, you had to go on this boat, and it was called Bobolo Boat because it was called Bobolo Island. And long story short, the boat ride was the best thing about the whole thing. Well, besides the rides, but you would go to the boat ride, and then we would have dance contests on the boat ride. Y'all know I won the dance contest, right? Let me tell you something. I used to win all the dance contests. Don't sleep on your girl. They would have all type of fun, but prizes, everything. Cotton candy, all type of stuff was not allowed to do. Elephant ears, all that stuff I was not allowed to have. But any hootie rooty tootie, go on the Bobolo boat. We had all this fun. We get to the amusement park, and then there's these rides, like all these amazing rides. Like I said, it's just like Coney Island. But we'll have mad fun. We get back on the boat, same thing, come back, and then you walk home. Anyway. What did Edith say in All in the Family? Those were the days. But anywho, that was the 70s, y'all. But let me know what y'all think about the topics. I'm trying to present interesting and relevant topics in a way that puts forth a different narrative and culturally something different about women in hip hop, as opposed to the same conversation. But also, the Black Power Media audience, I like how y'all challenge. So feel free to be like, I disagree with that or whatever, I put this stuff out here for discussion. Sometimes I see stuff and I'm like, I don't know if I agree with that. And I will say from today, there are some things that I do disagree with, but it's late and I don't want to go down the disagreement rabbit hole. I think maybe we could carry those conversations over to social media. But thank you, Yipper. I'm glad you like the topics. Dr. Ball said yes to doing a music industry buying power over here. He said yes to doing a music industry buying power on my channel. So I'm very excited about that. So I gotta get a date. March the 4th. Is that the date? March the 4th, I'm gonna have Martha Diaz, and she's gonna talk about her Women in Hip Hop event that's coming up. I told y'all in the beginning, I do want to read the Eve book. I know. Trisha Rose has a new book that I just got. I'm gonna read it. It's not about women in hip hop. It's about racism. And Joan Morgan has a book on the 20th anniversary of the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. And When Chicken Heads Come Home to Roost, I think it's 20th anniversary next month. So reached out to Joan Morgan, reached out to Trisha Rose. I'm really hoping they can come on here. Ruth Nicole Brown, Dr. Ruth Nicole Brown did a lot with Black girlhood. I've asked her to come on here. I am really striving to book these interviews. I don't have traction. I told y'all I reached out to Noname. I told y'all I reached out to Miriam Kaba. If y'all have clout, connections, help your girl out, because I've been trying to reach out to people. These are people I want to have on here. If I can't actually have them on here to talk to them, then I will dissect the work. But I'm really striving to like have the people in here so we could have the conversation. So, any hootie rooty tootie. Appreciate y'all for hanging out with me. It's been 2 hours and 15 minutes I've been on here. I'm really striving to get this show down to 1:30. I promise y'all I'm striving to get it down to 90 minutes. But I be thinking of stuff. Anywho, appreciate all of y'all for hanging out. I appreciate y'all for like, sharing, and subscribe. Let's keep it going. Remember to go into the Patreon, support the platform, Black Power Media. Let's keep that going. And yeah, y'all, love Black people, and let's keep fighting for Black liberation. Sending much love to the folks in Palestine. We're sending love to Mumia. We're sending love to Joy Powell, and free all political prisoners, free them all. And we're sending love to the folks in the Congo, in Haiti, in the Sudan, in the Sahel, in Yemen, and all across the global South, and all across where Black oppressed peoples are rising up and also resisting. And we're just sending much love to everyone in the struggle. And y'all have a wonderful, healing evening this evening. All right. Peace, y'all. Oh, you know what? I'm going to play my little commercial because I got a thing now, don't I, for my outro. All right. Peace, y'all. Rated M